Dear friends, welcome to this online session on COVID-19 issues and challenges in Indian higher education. I am Dr. K. Krishna Kumar, Associate Professor and Head in Charge, Department of Commerce, Periyar University, Salem. The current lockdown situation totally disturbs the entire system of human life. The sufferings we are facing now is we didn't face prior. The entire system of commercial and trading activities, operation of government and private sectors, functioning of educational institutions, transportation, and even small business activities are disturbed at large. In this situation, it is essential to know the impact of COVID-19 on Indian higher education system, because Indian higher education system is one of the largest systems in the world, which should be protected properly, since it is the main source of creating employment opportunities by the way of developing young minds of India. For this session, we are going to discuss the following few points: impact of COVID-19 on Indian higher education system, issues in higher education in the current scenario of COVID-19, issues to be addressed immediately, strategies for addressing the issues, major challenges for higher education institutions, strategies to be followed for overcoming the challenges, and measures to be taken for handling the impacts. So these are all the points which we are going to discuss in this presentation. COVID-19 has emerged as a humanitarian crisis that has all over the place impacted almost everything. The uncertainty precipitated by the pandemic is beyond the statistical estimations. Efforts to reinstate the normality of the world order are on its progress through experiments, researches, and cooperations. The ultimate success in the fight against COVID-19 can have positive results only after the invention of vaccines or drugs. Meanwhile, the option is to maintain social distance and adhere to other preventive strategies. So no other go at present in the current scenario. However, the crucial testing time has brought ample opportunities for innovations and the appropriate use of available online and virtual mechanisms, which many thought difficult to be implemented prior. A promising shift we could see is in the field of higher education. Through the magnitude of such efforts is a concern in the developing world. In India, the Ministry of Human Resource Development and University Grants Commission directed the higher education institutions to use virtual platforms for the teaching learning process amid the lockdown situation. Several higher educational institutions throughout the country have initiated online teaching modalities, many for the first time. Except some of the higher education institutions in the government as well as in the private sector, and the other institutions are not well equipped to manage the virtual learning platforms. Many higher education institutions don't have the infrastructure and the technological landscape for the implementation of the online learning process. There is a large number of teachers and the students have never attempted online teaching learning modalities. The abrupt implementation of the same has created confusion and uncertainty among the students as well as the teachers. On the other hand, many educational institutions have not used such measures even after having their learning management system appropriately for the teaching and learning process. Instead, preference was for the conventional method of teaching and assessment. In case of colleges, it is again critical, where the infrastructural and technological factors potentially remain as a constraint. The current crisis we are encountering as a result of COVID-19 should enable the appropriation of the current system of delivery and assessment in higher education. The technology integration undeniably remains essential for the modernization of education in India and other countries in the developing world. At the same time, such efforts should take into consideration of socio-economic factors, including region-specific issues and student diversity. According to the report of Ministry of Human Resource Development, there are 993 universities, 39,931 colleges, and 10,725 standalone institutions listed on the portal, which contributed to higher education at large. These institutions further reflected the student density of India, as the total enrollments in higher education every year are nearly 37.4 million, reflecting the expanding horizons of the education industry. The national lockdown and the ascending health crisis were striking the education of the students as well, with the universities being shut and their syllabus shortened until the industry decided to initiate revaluation instead. Uh, Here we go to see the impact of COVID-19 on Indian higher education system as per the current situation of lockdown. First of all, we go to see the educational setup. The conventional Indian education system follows face-to-face or physical teaching. Even though the trend of audio-visual aids in classroom was introduced a decade back, many higher education institutions in India are not equipped with such facilities. Still, then readiness status of Indian institutions to implement all kind of, virtual learning platforms. Survey by Times Higher Education in 2018, a well-known global universities were of the opinion that online teaching could never match with physical physical classroom teaching. We needed to keep in mind that the digital shift in India is relatively new, and how Indian higher education system is going to handle the changes, not only in India but in Asia as well. Then sufferings of 2020 academic year. Then the university examinations, college examinations, the entrance examinations are being postponed. It will be a big challenge for colleges to complete their syllabus on time without compromising the educational quality. The another important factor is 2020 admission. A large chunk of Indian admission system is cracked, and most of the students in India rely on the offline process for admission. It is a known fact that most people in the country do not have access to high-speed Wi-Fi, and most of students in small cities, towns, villages prefer the offline admission process since they don't have any network facility, internet facility, particularly in villages they don't have access to internet. Then the college placement also another vital factor which was affected at large in this pandemic period. There are chances that 2020 placement season may witness a dip due to global economic crisis because of the worldwide lockdown. Many of the companies, many of the corporate sectors which provided which may provide job offers to the students at large in various education institutions. Almost everything will be started now. Then the another important thing is sluggish cross-border students, movement of students. Universities in many countries such as Australia, United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Canada are highly dependent on the movement of students from particularly China and India. This cross-border will be completely affected because this pandemic situation, there is no way for transportation and even movement from one place to another place. Then passive learning by students. The sudden shift to online learning without any planning, especially in countries like India, will create the risk of most of our students become passive learners, and they seems to be losing their interest due to low levels of attention span. Moreover, large proportion of the students' population untouched due to the digital divide. There is a part of many developing nations, including India. Then unprepared teachers for online education. This is also another factor which has to be discussed elaborately. Online learning is a special kind of methodology, and not all the teachers are superior in that particular aspect, and many of them were not ready for this sudden transition from conventional method to online method, because here we are all facing face-to-face teaching and learning process, and shifting from conventional method to online teaching method is very difficult, and many of the teachers, they may not be in a position to accept this kind of new things. Then changing format of students recruitment. Universities and colleges worldwide facing a major risk in the area of students recruitment and retention. The risk of losing students is so high that they will need to relook at their admission practices, admission criteria, and overall recruitment processes, which will include new method or outreach and application process itself. So this is also has to be dealing with very careful efforts, because recruiting the students it's really a problem, and how to retain the students, existing students. For example, UG to PG. Here also it is difficult to manage or to attract the students at large. It is too difficult, I think. Then issues in higher education in the current scenario of COVID-19. COVID-19 has prompted experts to rethink the conventional mode of education. Digital education appears to be a viable solution to fill in the void for classroom education for a period of 3 to 4 months, while minimizing the chances of any infection to students until the classes are to be resumed. Even though the country has been adopting the new age learning, but there still lies on obstacles in making the endeavors entirely successful. The people residing in rural areas still very much deprived by the latest advancements and therefore hampering the cases of online learning. Now, virtual classrooms are not only depend on lectures, but also requires one to have access to the e-content and online study materials, practice sheets, etc. Another challenge is that e-learning comes across as somewhat inconsistent and impersonal experience. Also, e-learning is likely to witness a high dropout rate due to the lack of atmosphere for studying. Students might tend to get distracted by gaming consoles, social media at home, and might not feel a sense of community while taking online classes. In the case of India, we still have a long way to go before digital learning is seen as mainstream education, because students living in urban area have the facilities to opt for digital education. However, rural area students do not have the required infrastructure nor are financially strong to avail the resources required for digital education. Digital education will have a limited scope as compared with the written and handy materials, which is provided in an educational institutions at large. Moreover, the authentication of the educational material is at stake. E-learning will always provide the students with the different information in different ways. So the authenticity of the educational materials should be tested before these materials are circulated with the students. So here the problem is e-materials, the authenticity of the e-materials are very important. In conventionally in the classrooms, you used to give the materials by way of referring all kind of textbooks and other study materials. But the authenticity of the materials has to be tested before it should be circulated. The only educational institutions in urban areas can provide those facilities. Again, um, the questions are raised for the learners in rural areas. The education system in rural areas under their growth. By the way of internet facility, by the way of networking facility, and a digital way, and all kind of virtual platforms, the ultimate beneficiary will be the urban students. Here also we have to think about the peoples, the students, those who are all living in rural area. Then the examinations cannot be conducted online since it needs to be maintain confidentiality and a lot of technological support. Therefore, we go to find the new way of practices and the protocols, and we go to develop new, systems for conducting the examinations. Even it is conducted through online modality. Then issues to be addressed immediately. So in this COVID-19 situation, so the following are some of the issues to be addressed immediately. Universities and college closures will not only have a short-term impact on the continuity of learning for young learners in India, but also create extensive economic and societal consequences. So the lockdown situation not only create, the short-term impact, it will create the extensive economic impact in future, as well as it has to face a lot of social consequences. So these things has to be addressed immediately. We have to find some kind of alternate platforms, and we have to find some kind of alternative measures to handle all the issues addressed in prior slide. The pandemic has significantly disrupted the higher education system as well, higher education sector as well, which is the critical determinant of country's economic future. So almost all the private colleges, the salary is not given to the faculty members, staff members, and many of the colleges they are offering only 50% salary. if they think continuous, the college management is not able to get this, fees from the students, if there is no new admission, totally it will affect the entire education system of India. Then recent graduates in India are fearing withdrawal of job offers from corporate because of the current situation. So this is happening. We are seeing that many of the the final year students, those who got placement offers from various corporate sectors, all the offers are withdrawn now because of the current situation. Many of the corporate sectors are in lockdown situation. They are in layoff. So how to deal with all those things? This thing has to be addressed immediately. Then the pandemic has transformed the centuries-old chalk and talk teaching model to one driven by technology. The disruption in the delivery of education is pushing policymakers to figure out how to drive engagement at scale while ensuring inclusive e-learning solutions and tackling the digital divide. So implementation of e-learning is not an easy task. It needs a lot of technological support, a lot of innovation, and a lot of new platforms. So all those things are properly addressed by the policymakers. Then only that e-learning process or digital learning or online teaching learning methodology will be implemented properly. Then here I'm going to discuss about the strategies for addressing the issues. Immediate measures are essential to ensure continuity of learning in universities and colleges. Open source digital learning solutions and learning management software should be adopted so teachers can conduct teaching online. So here we are using some kind of platforms, online platforms to conduct online classrooms. But the online platforms which the students, which the teachers and the students used for online teaching learning process should be, very well versed with the technology, easy to adapt, easy to implement, and easy to, user friendly, and it should be user friendly. Then only the process will be reach that is called its objective. Then the inclusive learning solutions, especially for the most vulnerable and marginalized, needed to be developed. With a rapid increase of mobile internet users in India, which is expected to reach 85% households in the year 2024, technology enabling everywhere access and the personalization of education, even in the remotest parts of the country. Then strategies are required to prepare the higher education sector for the evolving demand and the supply trends across the globe, particularly those related to the global mobility of students and faculty and improving the quality of demand and higher studies in India. Then it is also important to reconsider the current delivery and pedagogical methods in schools and higher education by seamlessly integrating classroom learning with e-learning modes to build a unified learning system. Here, even from the school itself, there is a need to, develop a pedagogy. We should, link both. We should integrate both classroom with e-learning modes. Then the course of Indian traditional knowledge system in the fields of yoga, Indian medicines, architecture, hydraulics, ethnobotany, meteorology, and agricultural should be integrated with the present time mainstream university education to serve the large cause of humanity. Then major challenges for higher education institutions in India: availability of infrastructure facilities in rural areas, teachers' willingness to preparation of study materials, handling of practical classes, dealing internships and field project works, the issue of mandatory requirements of students' attendance in online classes, conducting semester examinations including internal assessments, lacking in research and development activities. These are all the major challenges which should be addressed properly. Then here the strategies to be followed for overcoming the previous challenges. Develop the infrastructure facilities in institutions and make the availability of internet facilities in rural India, and the students who belongs to rural community, even institutions can offer electronic devices to the needy students, particularly those belongs to economically backward. So by this method, the students can get, particularly the students belongs to rural area or economically backward, they can get some facilities, some instrument or electronic gadgets for online teaching learning processes. Then organizing the orientation courses or special courses for familiarizing the online class handling and the preparation of study materials to faculty members. This is the need of the hour. So the online teaching learning method is new method in India. Many faculty members, they are very familiar, but most of the faculty members, they are not familiar with the particular aspect. So it needs a lot of training and development through the special orientation courses or special courses, particularly with reference to online teaching learning methodology, will be helpful for them to learn new things, particularly, digital teaching process. And for handling the prodigal classes, a separate mechanism has to be developed because many science and technological oriented courses are practical and laboratory oriented. So that it needs a separate mechanism, particularly virtual lab can be created or simulation method can be created. Even gamification process also helpful for, some practical classes. Then in this pandemic situation, the students cannot go outside for internship programs and field projects. So this is also another important factor. In many of the courses, internship programs and field projects are compulsory, but in this lockdown situation, they cannot be permitted to go outside. So permit them to do any projects by their own within the curriculum. So the students may be permitted to, undertake any kind of projects within the curriculum by their own in their household itself. Then students' attendance is most important one in permitting them to write examinations. So effective monitoring system has to be developed and implemented to monitor students' online attendance. So in many of the places, we are finding that just they are entering into the classroom and after muting video and audio, they can perform some other activities. But in particularly online classroom, those kind of things should be avoided. A proper monitoring system should be created and it should be implemented effectively to ensure the students' attendance. The online mode can be considered for conducting examinations by the way of changing question paper pattern or online oral examinations. So this also can be considered because by the way of changing question paper pattern descriptive into that is called multiple choice question. So now we are having a lot of platforms are available by the way of developing Google Forms, etc. We can conduct the examinations through objective type, and we can go for online oral examination, one-to-one online oral examination. It also will be helpful for finding the students' subject knowledge. And the research and development activities are stimulated by the way of motivating the researchers and the scholars to conduct research as per the current requirement of pandemic environment. So the researchers can be motivated. The researchers can be motivated to develop research activities, or they can be motivated to develop research articles by the way of linking with their main research. Then measures to be taken for handling the impacts. The impact of COVID-19 in Indian higher education is very large. So here, some of the measures to be taken for handling the impacts. The first and foremost concern is to finalize the length of various courses and the programs to be conducted through online programs. The length of the course should be reduced. It will be helpful for in-depth learning of the students. This case has provided institutions with a unique opportunity. So the pandemic situation the pandemic situation creates a unique opportunity for education institutions to develop a new kind of methodology that is called teaching and learning methodology. Then redesign the curriculum from scratch. We go to find a new, we go to develop curriculum from the scratch. So we go to develop a curriculum from the zero itself. They have an option now. More and more students are accustomed to online learning. Organizations can adopt an agile approach to education now. Then identify courses that requires very less classroom discussions or personalization. higher education institutions particularly, they can develop the courses which needs less classroom interaction or less specialization. These courses may be recorded and stored in an institutional repository and they can be made available to students online on demand. So this is an exciting time for concepts like flipped classes, which was on trial for a very long time period in many institutions. We got to change it. Now we are in the situation of implementing flipped classes. Then are we ready for online examinations? If you are ready for conducting online examinations, how? That we have to develop and discuss the strategies to be followed for conducting online examinations. Then, does this testing ensure serious learning? Whether this methodology which we are going to adopt for online examinations, will stimulate or will test the serious learning by the students. Then it is important to impart confidence among the students as well as the educators. The move become exceptionally essential for courses in performing arts, engineering, biomedical science, etc. The possibility of setting up digital labs for teaching courses like science and engineering is utmost importance. That already I discussed in the previous layer that we need to develop a virtual laboratory or we need to develop simulation models and even we can go for gamification process. Then ensure the readiness status of faculty members to conduct online session. So the teacher's role is very important. They are going to conduct the online classroom. They are going to conduct the online session. They are going to deal with the students through online and virtual modality of teaching and learning process. Their willingness is most important one. The readiness status is the most important one. They have to be properly trained. The faculty members have to realize that these sessions could only be practical if they start focusing more on content delivery rather than information delivery. The use of technology such as simulation is necessary to make the session more interactive. Then continuous assessment of students which will be bound them to pay more attention and increase their engagements because teaching online is different from teaching in classes. Reducing the physical and the psychological distance between teacher and the student dynamic is more important by the way of identifying individual needs of the students. In physical classroom, the students' requirement will be identified by the staff members, teachers very easily. But in online, how it is possible? For that, we have to find a new strategy. Then, besides the designated online sessions, teachers will have to work extra hard to find a medium to connect with the students, to know them at a personal level. So, in online teaching and learning process, there is no personal connection between the students and the teachers. Here, in online mode, it has to be ensured properly that the teachers, the faculty members has to a separate mechanism. They have to develop a extra system. They have to work hard to find a medium to connect with the students. Then only it will be more appropriate and it will be more successful. Then students need to remind themselves to focus on developing competencies. They have to participate in the sessions, asking relevant questions actively and applying the learning in the real world. It is most important for both and the parents and the students to undergo a change in mindset. So this is the situation where we have to go for, develop or accept the changes. We got to prepare our mindset. We got to prepare our mindset to accept the changes. In concluding remark, maximizing the online learning is the most effective tool in keeping students' retention and maintaining access to learning. Majority of the colleges and universities around the world integrates some form of online education into the coursework. Some universities may already have strong online system and the smaller universities may struggle under the weight of the demand. University course creators should work closely with their IT departments to ensure their programs are able to supported online by the way of creating robust system. Here we need a robust system for implementing new methodology of teaching and the learning process. The university course creators they have to they have to work with the institutional IT departments and they have to find the new way for developing all kind of course contents etc. With online learning the way to go. Universities should also ensure students and staff are protected while on campus. Administrators should take effective measures to prevent the spread of the diseases on their campus by the way of implementing best practices. This is the need of the hour. It is most important aspect also. The students and the staff members should be protected. So every kind of preventive measures should be taken for keep the staff members and the students safe from the disease. Remote learning seems to be a viable solution to students during this time, as they offer convenient, on-the-go and affordable access to lessons. E-learning also comes as an interesting and interactive alternative as compared to classroom teaching. So we have to accept these kind of things also. E-learning is becoming now part and parcel of teaching and learning process. Then going forward, digital education is likely to be integrated into mainstream education in future. This will enable inclusive education by facilitating learning across diverse geographic India. In this time of crisis, a well-rounded and effective educational practice is needed for the capacity of building of young minds. It will develop skills that will drive the reliability, productivity, and health and the well-being in the decades to come and ensure the overall progress of India. So with these words, I conclude my presentation. Thank you for your patience hearing. Thank you, one and all.